Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Grow Your Business Smarter, Live Your Optimal Life show. I am your host, Dr. Davia Shepherd. I host a women's group called Ladies Power Lounge. We are so excited to have been invited here by the Win-Win Women Network. We've taken our web show and we've brought it right to you so that you watching TV can now watch us. We're very, very excited to be here. Also want to say that we are a show about growing your business smarter and living your optimal life. We couldn't figure out a nice pithy way to say all of those words, so all of those words ended up in the title. But the essence of what we're trying to bring to you is, how do you grow your business without having to work harder and stress and strain and push and pull? And while you're growing your business, how do you also make sure that that self-care, that self-love piece is being taken care of, that we're not leaving that by the wayside? And so every single Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern, we're talking 10 Central and 8 a.m. Pacific. I got all the time. I remember it every single one. Every single Tuesday, we're here. We have amazing experts, and we're talking about this. How do we grow our business smarter? How do we get to those 6, 7, 8-figure businesses? And not just for the sake of, oh, let's make tons more money, which is a totally valid reason for wanting to grow your business. But for most of the people who are watching us, the reason they want to make more money in their businesses is so that they can get out of that struggle and actually be able to focus on the thing that they're put on this earth to do. They also want to be able to give back to their communities in the way that they want to, the way that really calls to their souls. And 3, they want to be able to use the money from their business to advance their mission in life. And so that's what we're about here. Every single Tuesday, I bring you a guest and we talk about, how are we going to do this thing? How are we going to do all of those things, grow our businesses smarter? And while we're doing it, how can we keep living our optimal lives? Today, I have an extra special guest with us, Pat Alva-Kraker. She is a newer friend to me, but I gotta tell you guys, she is amazing. I adore her, and she has such great insight to share today. She's gonna talk to us about how you get to be successful. What's a true way of getting that success? And lots of us, we've been looking for that success. We've been looking under the books on our desk. We've been looking on all the books on our bookshelves. We've been looking under rocks. Hey, anywhere this success could be found, we've been looking for it. Pat's probably here to share with us today that maybe we've been looking for it in all the wrong places. She's going to share with us exactly what leadership has to do with this. Growing your business smarter, growing a successful business, and having a successful life. It all comes back to that grow your business smarter, live your optimal life theme that we have here. So I'm going to share a little bit with you this morning, guys. This morning did not go as planned. I mentioned it on our little pre-call show that we have on the Facebook group every Tuesday. And I explained that, guys, I don't know what happened. It's like in my head, I'm looking at my phone and the time is saying it's 6:30, but in my mind, it's 5:30. So I'm like 1 full hour behind. I almost made my son late. My son is 12 years old. He's been going to school for 9 years, people, 9 years. And for the first time in the history of the world, I almost made him late. Not him making us late, which is usually me having to be behind the kid and like, hey, get going, do this, do that. Is this the first time you're doing school? Why are we running behind? None of that happened this morning. This morning, he was on time. He was on point. I was the one who was late. Unfortunately, my husband wasn't traveling. He was actually home and he was able to pick up the slack for me and help us get out the door. And when I tell you, we were at screeching stop in the rain at the bus stop so I can get him off the bus. And I'm at the bottom of our road looking at the bus at the top of my street. And I'm like, please don't drive off. Please stay. Please wait. Because we are the last stop on the bus route. We made it, guys, and not even with a second to spare. And so I asked the universe, I said, hey, there's a lesson here for me, because that's how I am approaching all the contrast that's showing up for me right now. What's a lesson? I want to learn a lesson so I can move on up. Yeah. What's the next thing? What's the thing I need to learn here? So I pulled a card and I asked the big thing of the universe this morning. Well, it's not that big a thing because, guys, every morning when you get up, you don't have to ask, why is the sun not shining yet? Okay, sun, shine. Or why didn't the moon come out last night? Okay, moon, you need to get back on track. We don't have to do any of that stuff. Universe is taking care of all of that fun stuff. So I think my little ask of the universe, not that big a deal, but anyway, it felt like a big deal for me. I asked the universe, hey, give me a card that's going to help me to understand what I need to learn next about this situation that really threw me for a loop this morning. And also make sure that it ties in beautifully with our show. Well, wouldn't you just know? Universe delivered as always. So at the end of the show, I'll share the card with you. Look out for that. Stay tuned. Pat, welcome. Oh my goodness, you had to listen through my rant, but you're here. Can you share with everybody who you are? Yay. Amazing things that you're doing in the world.
Good morning. Good morning. And I adore you, Dr. Divya. Thank you so much for having me on your show and having the opportunity to make an impact with all the entrepreneurs that are online. And you're right when it comes to growing a business, is that we do look at the wrong places, and really when all the answers are within. So we're going to be talking about self-leadership. And well, who am I? Well, I'm a true Texan. I'm a leader. I'm connecting with you all from Fort Worth. Fort Worth's in the house. And yes, I'm a leader, and my passion is moving women forward in their business, in their careers, and in their life. And, it came from an experience in corporate where I saw that women were not given a seat at the table. And just seeing how all the men, especially in a male-dominated field, which is where I was at in technology, is that they were the ones that were getting the opportunities, the promotions, and the awards. And I just got mad. And I said, women, we need to stick together and we need to start promoting each other, mentoring each other. And that's how I ended up mentoring and coaching women leaders into taking, their chair, creating their own table, getting the seat at the table that they want to be at. And that comes in different flavors. It comes in being a leader in the community, in corporate America. It comes in being an entrepreneur. And so my passion has been, focused on moving women forward. I just have a passion for leadership because if we don't lead ourselves, we cannot lead others. And that's really where the true essence of who we are and our success comes, is from self-leadership. And I've been studying leadership for over 40 years because I've understood the necessity of being able to really lead ourselves first in order to be able to lead others. What are my other passions? I love travel. Just came back from Kauai. My husband and I went to Kauai. We had a wonderful vacation. And so I love travel. I'm very curious about life. And a lot of my businesses and what I do shows up in one-on-one coaching, retreats, an author. I'm a best-selling author with Catherine's Quest, One Woman's Journey to Elation. And I'm also in Dr. Divya's book coming out soon. So that's a little bit about me. And I'm so happy to be here. So how do we dive in, Dr. Divya?
Well, hey, Pat, tell everybody, because a lot of the people who are watching with us, they actually do also, like you and like me, have a background where we left corporate, we left those golden handcuffs and we launched off into our own business. Can you share with us a little bit of a backstory about how you actually made that leap, made that
Mm,
jump?
yeah, I appreciate that question. So as I said, mentoring and coaching really just fell on me. It's a gift that I have that just was sparked by inequities. And I just started coaching women for 35 years of my career and realized that there was an opportunity for me to make a difference outside of just corporate America. And I started growing my practice while I was still working for corporates. So slowly just making those connections, training myself, getting certifications, and preparing for a transition where I wasn't starting necessarily from zero. And there came a point where I was just ready to make that leap. And what pushed me to really move that needle forward was when I got laid off. I got laid off when I was working for IBM, and I said, you know what? I wasn't ready to start the business full time then, but I did say this will never happen to me again. And that's when all the structure of my business and all those dominoes became part of my business and my efforts, saying, let's start putting a plan together. You've been doing coaching in corporate. Your plan B is to have your own business. You just got spurred on by the universe to get this going. And so I started aligning all the ducks in a row, if you will, until I got to that point where I was financially ready. And I was really ready within me to just make that leap from corporate. And I started with initially mentoring and coaching women in tech engineers. And then I just love the art of the business, because my husband and I, we had an exotic animal ranch. We had a bail bond office. I'm in real estate also. And I'm like, I have all this experience in growing businesses. Why not expand into this area and make a difference? And that's how the transition started for me.
So, Pat, you have just a storied career with growing businesses and doing different kinds of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what's the secret to success and what does that have to do with leadership?
Wow, sub leadership. You know, our businesses are so intertwined with who we are as a person. It's hard to really separate the business from who you are. There's such a connection with who you are in your business and in your personal life. And that line becomes more and more blurred when we start working at home, as many of us saw that. And it's important in a business to be able to lead yourself throughout your business. And what I mean by self-leadership, I like to look at self-leadership in three respects. One is self-awareness, is knowing who you are, how you make your decision, what makes you tick in order to really grow your business. Because I truly believe that all of us within ourselves built our business to the beat of our own drum. And in order to build the business to the beat of your own drum, you have to know who you are. You have to know what you value, what your strengths are, what you want in life, that level of clarity, and to live life intentionally. So it all starts with that. And like you said earlier, we look for the outside. We look to the outside for answers to getting ourselves, up and going, 6 figures in 6 months, adopting other business models that really don't fit, when the truth of the matter is that we all have our own beat to our own drum of how we grow our business. And in self-leadership, it's about understanding what that natural beat is and growing our business to that beat.
That's really, really an interesting perspective, because a lot of us, when we get into business, I can tell you my story. And for those of you who watch the show all the time, you know this story by heart. So sing along. When I started out being in private practice, coming from the warm embrace of corporate, where everything is taken care of and all you have to do is show up, what that meant for me is that I knew what I didn't know. And so I had to go learn it. Problem was, I went to learn from a quote unquote guru. And so I was taking her style of management and her style of running a business, plugging that into my business. And some things worked, but a lot of it did not work for me. And it made me wonder, so why isn't this working for me? What's the problem? So you're saying that we have to be self-aware, we have to know who we are and how we make decisions for ourselves. What are some of the do's and don'ts that you would say go into this idea of self-leadership?
Mhm. So some of the do's of self-leadership is to know what your zone of genius is, right? Everyone got into business because they were really good. You all are really good at that one thing. And you told yourself, I'm going into business because I am really good at doing A, B, and C. And when we go into business, we somehow make this transition or decision that we have to do it all. And the truth of it is that we don't have the skill set to do it all. We came into our business knowing this is my specialty, this is your specialty, and we try to do it all and we fail at it. And one of the lessons that I learned in trying to do it all is that it's more important to know what my zone of genius is and to know who has a zone of genius on the things that I don't know. Because the growth of your business is in the who, not in the how. And we get stuck on the how. Well, I need to know marketing. I need to know operations, systems. I need to know blah, blah, blah in order to be successful. Well, you know what? You don't need to know how to do all that. You need to be good at what you're at, and you need to know who to hire that knows the marketing part of it and give them the direction and the guidance of what you want, and then let them run with it. And you will grow your business exponentially by knowing who has the expertise that you don't, so that you can just rely on your zone of genius and have fun growing your business, because it's stressful when you try to do it all.
I love that one so much. Number 5 pillar of growing your business smarter from the Ladies Power Lunch and Grow Smarter perspective is applications and resources. And it's basically saying, guys, legitimately, there is somebody out there who knows how to do the thing you want to do, and they're amazing at it. Legitimately, there may be resources, things like applications or software programs or things like that that can do some of the things that you're struggling to do seamlessly and efficiently. So why not find out what that is? I love, love, love that that's one of the things that you highlight. What else should we be paying attention to? You say, know your zone of genius. Growth is in the who, not the how. What else do we need to know?
The how, right? And one part of self-awareness is just having that self-compassion for yourself. But in self-awareness also comes your ability to be aware of other people that are on your team. It's whether, we are never a one-man show. We really aren't. I mean, we are, when I started my business, I learned that I was two people. I was the president and I was an employee. And you need to know how to wear those two hats in your business as an employee and as a president. And we also have, the need for people on our team, whether it's a VA or a full-time employee or a contractor. But part of your team is also, your attorney, your CPA, your financial advisor. It's the caregivers that take care of your kids and your parents. It's those people that really make it possible for you to run your business are also part of your team. And having that awareness of thinking that your business is only you. No, it's about all these other people that help you move forward, and being able to have a deep relationship with everyone that helps you grow your business. And what that takes is an awareness of who you're talking to at that point in time, who you're having a conversation with, because it is in understanding the person that's in front of you, doing active listening, listening for what is not being said, and the emotions that may be triggered in the conversation, so that when you're working with somebody on your team, with your client, with your family, that you are able to better come up with win-win scenarios, because you have such an awareness of the other person that's right in front of you that you can't help but create better responses to the situation and circumstances at hand, right? And I say response because in self-leadership, it is about responding to situations, circumstances, and events, not reacting.
I love that so much. In this scenario that you are suggesting, we're not just having everybody on our team be a number, but they are actually a human that is a part of our organization. I absolutely adore that. You know, it's amazing how fast the time flies off when we start talking. And so, can you quickly just share with us any other do's and don'ts that you really want us to tune into before we go?
Yes. It's important to actually learn from every day. So I recommend to all my clients is to journal every day and ask yourself, what went well in my day today? What didn't go so well? And what will I do differently? Because like you said, you ask yourself, what lesson was I meant to learn from my experience with my child early this morning, right? And we need to be able to reflect and ask ourselves those questions consistently, because when we do that, every day we become a better version of ourselves.
I love that. That is so, so awesome. I'm going to ask you to give us a little bit of homework. I mean, I love for our show to be very practical. I love for people to be able to have things that they can implement, things that they can take away, things that they can actually use as a transformation. So if you wanted people to just take one little piece away from today and go ahead and apply it to themselves, their lives, and their businesses, what would that one thing be?
It would be to be fully present in your life. Just be fully present with whatever situation is in front of you. And how do you do that? You take 2-3 deep breaths and you bring yourself fully into the moment and just focus on that one person, that one project, that one thing that's going to move your business forward, and be just fully present. Because when you're in the present, that's where your power is. That's where your creativity is. That's where creating win-win scenarios is when you're fully present and you're only focusing on what's in front of you. And if you do that every day by just starting with 3 deep breaths and just focusing on that one person, the person in front of you, what task, and just live your life fully present, that'll make a huge difference in the way your day rolls out.
Well, guys, you heard it here first. Your homework for this week is to actually actively get in the moment. If you feel like your mind is wandering while you're doing tasks or while you're talking to people or while you're engaging in any way, anything that has to do with your business, Pat is suggesting that we take a minute, take 3 deep breaths. Go ahead and take 3 deep breaths and then refocus on the thing that you have to do. There's going to be a test next week. But here's the deal. I invite you to come on the show next week and tell us, hey, I tried Pat's exercise And it worked for me. And this is what happened. I'd love for you to share your feedback on that.
Yes.
And we're continuing this conversation all week long inside our Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group. Our Facebook group is 100% free. There is one barrier to entry. However, you have to be the kind of person who really, really believes that supporting each other makes everybody grow. If you believe that rising tides lift all boats and that like no boat whatsoever gets left behind, then you are welcome to be a part of our group. Just go over to growsmarter.com/Facebook. growsmarter.com/Facebook. Come on over, join us. Let's keep this conversation going and maybe give us some feedback about how you stay in the moment. Because I know as much as we talk about these things here on the show, y'all have great suggestions for how we can keep this going. So, like I said at the top, I pulled a card for us this morning. I was hoping to get my personal insight from it, but also to get some insight that might be relevant to what we're talking about today. And so the book, the card deck that I'm pulling from is this one called Enchanted Map. This was a gift to us from one of our viewers who sent this in to us. And so we've been pulling from this deck for the past few weeks. And the card that I pulled is one called Goblins. And you're thinking, ooh, goblins. But here's what it says. Fear is an illusion. Choose love today. Forgive yourself and others. That feels kind of right, both for what you've been talking about, Pat, and also for what my morning was like. Because was I beating myself up about this a little bit? I think I was. So here's what the card says. Goblins are born when you're wounded and something essential is lost in that experience. From that point on, as you forget your wholeness, they remain with you in the shadows. There, they remind you of what brought them into being by mimicking your own voice, tricking you into believing that you're unworthy, victimized, or unlovable. They hold you hostage through low self-worth, self-sabotage, and the feeling that you're lacking what you need. If goblins pay you a visit, know that they represent the shadow of your own self or someone else's, and that they're leading you into a potentially reactive situation. A goblin's card's appearance is an opportunity for growth, however, and a signal that you must love yourself. No human is without flaws. The goblin message is that you must release resentments and negative self-talk. Within you is a spark of the divine, ask spirit to help heal you. Miracles can and do happen. Let go of the negativity. What's this saying for you, Pat? What are you getting from this in relationship to what you've been talking to us about today?
Self-compassion.
Yeah.
Absolutely, having self-compassion and treating yourself like you would treat your best friend who's had a disappointment, something didn't go quite right and they're, distressed or down in the dumps, it's treating yourself with that self-compassion and knowing that, like you said, we're not perfect and we're learning through these opportunities and just being open to say, I love you, Pat. We're going to learn from this one. You got this, let's just pick yourself up from the bootstraps. Self-compassion is really key to self-leadership for sure.
Yeah, I love that. And I think one of the things that we all need to remember, and maybe it comes back to that being in the moment, is that sometimes the conversations that we have with ourselves in our very own heads is never something that we would ever say to another person out there. It's not great, Bob, not great at all. And so this is an opportunity for us to perhaps add on to the homework that you gave us for this week, Pat. And in addition to taking that deep breath when we find that we're outside of the moment, but also if we find ourselves having a conversation in our head that is not uplifting, that we can use that same technique. Take a moment, take 3 deep breaths and reset the situation, reframe, and ask ourselves, what's a different way that we can speak to ourselves about exactly what is happening? I know I had to do that this morning. I had to say, okay, what's a different way that we can say what has happened? We can say this is an opportunity to learn something. We can say, you know what, in 9 years of taking this kid to school, first time in 9 years, good job, mom. And we can also say, hey, remember to be in the moment tomorrow morning so that that stuff does not happen again. Any last words, Pat, before we go?
This is every day we grow our business, we grow ourselves. And what I've learned is that in order to really grow our business, we have to grow ourselves. It's an inside job. Growing our business is an inside job. In order to evolve your business, you have to evolve yourself. And it starts with self-leadership.
It starts with self-leadership. Guys, Pat is going to be one of the outstanding leaders who will be facilitating on our upcoming Ladies Power Lunch Fall Summit. The leadership is not your grandfather's leadership. We're talking about a new paradigm of leadership where each of us has to hold responsibility, and then we link arms together and support each other, giving our clients a more robust product, of course, and also raising the vibration of the planet. So really, really glad that we're going to be able to have you on the program, Pat. Also glad that you're going to be one of the authors who will be leading on that anthology that we're releasing right alongside our summit, also called Ignite Your Leadership. If anybody is looking for tickets for Summit, or if you're watching this after Summit has happened, don't worry, you can buy the replays. Just go to growsmarter.com/ticket. All right, guys, this has been a great show. I really, really appreciate you joining in with us, Pat. And
yes, Dr. Davia, can I give your audience a free gift?
Oh, sure. Go right ahead.
Okay, so one thing of self-leadership is setting boundaries in your life. And that's a whole topic of its own. However, I do want to spur a conversation around that and give you a head start on the importance of being part of your self-leadership is being able to set your boundaries based on what you value. So I put on your chat a gift from Pat, A Gift from Pat, where you will learn how to set boundaries and how to create your ideal life through boundaries, which are all part of self-leadership.
I love that, Pat. Thanks so much for reminding me about your gift. And I know everybody's going to want to tune in and connect with you. So go to www.agiftfrompat.com and get her free gift. And that will give you an opportunity to have deeper, meaningful conversation with her, even outside of this show. Yes. Okay, guys, we're going to make a transition. So for those of you who have to tune off now, we'll see you guys on the next show. All right. And let's switch into phase 2 of our show. And here's where we just have conversation. So people who are tuning in and you're here with us live, I do invite you to join us. Go ahead and unmute. Go ahead and, put your camera on and let's have some conversation about this idea of growing your business smarter and self-leadership. So I want to welcome you again, Pat. Thank you so much for being a guest on our show today. And can you just share with us who you are and what you do?
Thank you so much, Dr. Davia, for having me. I wear different hats. I am a serialpreneur. My husband and I own a company called Majestic Private Lending. We are private lenders, and we help serious investors with funds in order to do their rehab so they can turn around and grow their business. And my second business is that of being a business consultant and coach. I love moving women forward in their business. And so I do that through helping women get visibility, understand how to set up their systems, and bring in revenue. And I do that one-on-one coaching. I do it through retreats, through my books, and I just love making an impact in moving women forward, which is why I love that I'm able to be in part of your community.
I love that you're part of our community. I'm so grateful that you're part of our community. And I love that you are an outstanding coach, that you have so much experience with being a coach, I love your backstory that you came from corporate and that your first area of coaching was coaching women in IT. And I see the value of that because when you look at IT and you look at perhaps the women who are tech entrepreneurs, they are fewer and farther between than are the men. So having somebody to really be mentoring them in that way is so important. I really appreciate that piece of your story. I love too that you are going to be one of our amazing authors on our upcoming best-selling book called Ignite Your Leadership. And I love to say that, hey guys, it's not your grandfather's leadership. We're talking about leadership where everybody has responsibility. Everybody's holding responsibility for the where their genius lies, and then linking arms with everybody else so that they can be supported in the areas where it's not their genius, and also raising their vibration, raising the vibration for their clients, and also raising the vibration of the world in an exponential way. I just absolutely love what we're going to be talking about in this best-selling book, which is coming out in October, and also love that you're going to be one of the facilitators on our October Ladies Power Lunch Summit of the same name, Ignite Your Leadership. Pat, tell us a little bit why you said yes to being part of that project.
I said yes because I love your take on what it is to be a leader. And we're so used to it being a top down, and that model no longer works, right? It just no longer works in order to be successful in business. And we need to adapt and embrace a different way of leading ourselves. And like you say, being responsible, and just this whole paradigm, this shift that you're starting. It's really, like you say, it's a movement. I wanted to be part of that movement because I totally agree with and in alignment with where you feel leadership should be at this point in time.
Yeah. I love that. I absolutely love that. So we talked a little bit before about what you think is important for success. And one of the things that you mentioned is self-awareness, knowing who you are and how you make decisions. Can you say a little bit more about that? Because I know you have a background in human design and making decisions that way. And is there a correlation between that self-awareness and your training in that area?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I really appreciate that question because many times with the clients that I work with, one of their biggest obstacles is learning how to make decisions, to the point that they don't make decisions. They avoid them because they don't want to make a mistake in their decision-making process and find that they should have gone left instead of right. And many times we regret the decisions, we don't make the decisions, or we're forced to make decisions in ways that really aren't in alignment with who we are. And the truth is that in our self-leadership and self-awareness, we have an innate way in which we were made to make decisions in the world. And when you understand what that decision process is for you, oh my God, I see a major transformation in the entrepreneurs that I work with, because now they know the way that they're supposed to make decisions and they trust that decision. They become more confident in their decision-making process and they make decisions faster. So when you know your decision-making process, you're not listening to what everybody else has to say. You're just going within and following your own process to make decisions. And you trust that decision-making process, which for all of us is really below the neck. Our decision-making process is all here, but it takes everybody has a different rhythm, a different drum beat to the way they make decisions. And once you figure that rhythm out for yourself, it is a game changer because we make thousands of decisions every day.
Yeah.
Every day. And just knowing how you're meant to make them, you make your decisions faster. Like I say, you're more confident and it makes a difference. And human design for business, that particular assessment and system is the way that you can learn and discover that. And that's one of the gifts that I bring into my coaching practice is let's first learn how you learn to make decisions and start making decisions that are in alignment with who you are. So
I
it's
love that.
key.
I love that so much. I'm gonna, in just a moment, bring in some of our viewers who are watching along with us to give them an opportunity to ask you questions. I just wanted to touch on the other thing, the other main points that you mentioned that have to do with self-leadership and growing our businesses in a smarter way. You mentioned knowing your zone of genius, having self-compassion. You mentioned having a deep relationship with everyone who's a part of growing your business. You
Mhm.
talk about learning from every day, like what went well, what didn't. And you gave us a bonus piece of information, being fully present and in the moment. Can you just say a little bit about how all of those things come together to give us that success that we're
Mhm.
looking for in our lives and in our businesses?
Right. So all those things come together in really having an understanding of what makes you tick, right? It's knowing when you're in alignment and when you're not. And when you know who you are, what your strengths are, how you make decisions, your mind, body, and soul, they have a hum to the way that you run your day. And you're so aligned that you experience a level of satisfaction, you're in delight, you're successful, you're happy, you're joyous, and you can tell when your self-leadership is right on point because everything is aligned. And how do you know when you're not? When you're not being who you're meant to be, when you're trying to be someone else, someone else's idea of how you should be, what kind of leader you should be, you're totally out of alignment. And it shows up in frustration, bitterness, anger, dissatisfaction. And those are major signposts to tell you that in your life and in your day, if you just go within and you're just aware of what is in alignment with you, what you value, what you're striving for in your business and your life, then everything just lines up for you. And it makes growing your business easy. And I love to say, you do it with ease and grace. And that all those elements are connected to really make that alignment true for you on a daily basis.
I think a lot of us, Pat, we underestimate the power of alignment. But I would say, a lot of us, and I will be the first one to tell you that getting into this more spiritual side of business has been a little bit of a challenge for me. It's taken me a little bit outside of my comfort zone because my background is research. So guys, show me the double-blinded placebo-controlled
Yeah.
studies.
Yep.
That's what I want to see. But I've got to tell you, like, if you look at musicians, they'll tell you there's a moment where they're so aligned that the music just flows through them. They call it being in the pocket. If you talk to people who are in sports, they'll tell you there's a moment when they're so aligned that the perfect shot just flows right through them. They didn't even think it through. It's like their bodies just knew exactly what to do in the moment. They call it being in the flow. And I feel like for all of us who are in business, we have that sweet spot too, because I've experienced it. I've had days when I've come in here and I feel like my feet never touch the ground because I'm just flowing through between patients, working on ladies' power lunch things, doing all the things that I have scheduled for my day. And it's just like, it's like a magic act. So I've felt it, I've seen it, and I know that many of you have seen it in your business too. And so what would happen if that was more the case, if we were seeing that more days than less days, if that was more present for us? And I think you're right, Pat. I think it all comes through just knowing who you are and being in alignment with that person.
I think also when you're true in alignment and you're honoring who you are, I call that also the path of least resistance. It is the path of least resistance. When you're in that flow, you're acknowledging what's happening, you're fully present versus having to feel you have to struggle through business, or you wake up in your day and you feel like you're pushing your business forward, you're pushing the day, you're pushing conversations when it's not at all about pushing. It's about allowing. for your day to unfold with ease and grace and being in the flow and being aware. So, if you find yourself struggling, you find yourself pushing, it's that right there, you're out of alignment. And it's a time when you take a moment and you take those 3 breaths and you say, okay, what decision have I made that has put me in that position? And where do I need to pivot to get myself out of pushing today and just sitting back and allowing my day to unfold? And
I love that, Pat. That's awesome. I want to invite our guests, Jody and Marilyn, to chime in here. So, Jody, I'm seeing you first on my call sheet. Can you share with us who you are, what you do, and any questions that you might have for our guest, Pat, today?
So first of all, I just wanted to say, I like how you said, don't keep pushing your business.
Yeah.
I find I always do that. Always try to push it. So I am out of alignment, which makes me think that I need to see you, Dr. Shepherd. So I appreciated some of the points that that you said, your decision-making process, and trust that process. I stink at that. I have a hard time doing that. And because you're not moving forward, you're not making those decisions, you're stuck. And then all of a sudden, 2 or 3 more decisions have to be made and you're still stuck. And, so you can't move forward. So sometimes I have to keep telling myself, everything doesn't have to be perfect, which that's,
Right.
I feel like I need everything to be perfect before I can do that one thing.
Yeah.
So in most things, I have learned to settle for like a B-. And, as long as I'm, moving something forward, then that's okay, that I'm still moving, and I will perfect that afterwards. Whatever, it could be anything. It could be a post that I need to make, or, it could be anything, but I need to settle for something less than perfect just so that I can make that one step. Otherwise I freeze. So I appreciated that point that you had made. Being fully present is another thing that I know that I struggle with. I feel like I want to do, 4 or 5 other things at the same time, and that's not a good thing. And I already know that that's not a good thing, but that's just me. And not having the skill set to do it all. I always think that I could, and so I stubbornly keep trying, but but coming to terms that you don't have that, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. So I definitely appreciated those points.
I can tell, Jody, that you have a self-awareness of you're self-aware of yourself. And because you shared with us, just where your challenges are, and we're all in there with you, where we feel like we have to be perfect before we do anything, and giving ourselves that compassion of, no, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. And I commend you for having that self-awareness, because I can tell by just listening to you that you're aware of yourself. You are aware, and it's just a matter of making a decision. So what am I going to do today? Knowing that it doesn't have to be perfect. Am I going to give myself the permission to just hit the send button
Right.
or the post button? Right. Yeah.
So true.
Sure.
I love that so much. And I love because here's one of the reasons why I think you raising this, Jody, is so important. Guess what, lady? You're not alone.
Exactly.
You are not at all in any way, size, shape, or form alone, because so many of us, we are quote unquote perfectionists when it comes to things to do with our business. And we get stuck in that analysis paralysis where we're thinking through things so hard, and we're trying to be so perfect before we pump things out. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I got a text from one of our members the other day, and her text was, "Hey, check that post that you just put up because there are some grammatical errors in there." And I was like, "Thank you." And also, it's a template. So I just went in, made the changes, and boom, bang, bam. On the Facebook post, the changes were made. And it just goes to show that one, we're not here to do it alone. So I have some amazing people watching my back. So, and two, grammatical error was not the end
Yeah,
of the
not the end of
world.
the
Like
world.
it totally stopped the presses.
Yeah, exactly.
It did nothing. And guess what? It allowed me to have a conversation with one of our members that I hadn't spoken to in a really long time.
Yeah.
And now she's going to be one of our sponsors for the Ladies Power Lunch Fall Summit, which is coming up in October 17th and 18th. So for those of you who haven't as yet gotten tickets, or if you're watching this or listening to this after October, don't worry, you can still get the replays. Just go to growsmarternotharder.com/ticket, and that all is there. But Jody, I want people to understand that what you're talking about applies to their businesses too. So can you share with people who you are and what you do?
So, who am I and what do I do? I have a couple businesses going on, and that's why I feel like the decision-making process is harder, because now you're trying to apply and trying to work a few businesses all at the same time. So, and then really nothing, not that nothing gets done, but it doesn't get done fluidly. It doesn't get done, smoothly. So I have a couple businesses. One of them is I am involved with a company from Utah that makes plant-based supplements. So with herbs and adaptogens, no fillers, nothing synthetic. It's literally just plants and adaptogens, which help people balance themselves, but not only physically. A lot of times we only think of supplements on a physical basis, but it's physically, mentally, and emotionally where it helps people to balance. And that's because of the adaptogens that are added in. So I have that company that I have been involved with for a couple of years now, happily, with that. And I'm so glad that, I met up with them. And then the other thing is it's a hobby turned business is I'm a soap maker. So I do it right here from my home. And I mean, it's a fun thing. And it got to the point where it's very addicting, and you keep needing more and you keep needing to make more. So, and I laugh about it. I always say I have 500 bars of soap in the basement, but I need to go make more. And that's true. But, it is true. So, so that's a business that I've had since the end of 2016. And it was a hobby kind of turned business. And that's kind of like my zone time, like, my relaxation time, where I go down there and just, you can be a little bit artistic and, yeah, so I like doing that. So that's the other business.
So I can truly say that, guys, if you haven't checked out Jody's soaps, y'all need to. And also, Jody, I will be placing an order later because now it's top of mind for me. Can you tell everybody how they can find your soaps?
Yeah.
I'll put it here on the
Please
chat.
do.
It's
but it's on Etsy. So, and it's a Plymouth Soap
House
House.
Shop. Sorry, let me go back a little bit.
But Pat, what advice do you have for Jody? Because I mean, Jody's not alone in this idea of, okay, I'm doing these different things and it feels like I'm disjointed and things are not in flow. How can Jody get past this?
One of the, I'm like you, Jody. I have two businesses also. So
I'm like you too, Jody. I have 2 businesses also.
yeah, we're all here in the same. And what I have found to be successful for me is to compartmentalize the business. So I will work on my private lending business with my husband on Mondays, and that is solely what we do. And then I work on my coaching Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday is my day to work on finances and other aspects of my operations, if you will. And so I'm very conscious about putting the right hat on, because when you try to combine both hats on at the same time, it doesn't work. It's a different level of energy. It's a different level of creativity. And so you really need to just focus on one business and have it either all day or 2 hours of the day, whatever works best for you. And then when you work on your supplements business, you work on that business only, and you just stay focused on that. I have found that to work for me is when you just really delineate the days where you work on each of those, so that your energy, your mind, body, and soul that are aligned. They may take different skill sets. Like the creativity of the soap takes a different skill set than selling supplements, right? So sometimes they don't work when you try to mix them both. So that would be my suggestion. Complete separation of time.
I love that, Pat. I would say I 100% co-sign on that. For us, patients know scheduling an appointment with me on a Tuesday is not going to happen, because Tuesday is the day that I do pretty much most of our ladies power lunch work. And then there are blocks of time that I have on a Wednesday, a Thursday, and on a Friday. And those blocks are pretty scheduled and pretty compartmentalized, and they're scheduled to do specific things for ladies power lunch. Outside of that, Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is all patient care activities. And so I don't feel like I've ever gotten to a stage where I feel like, okay, I've got this balance down, but I feel like I've definitely gotten better at it once I was able to pull out a day and say, this is all I'm doing this day. I will not do other things on this day. I'm going to schedule all my ladies power lunch things on this day, and then have time blocks for the other days. So yeah, that worked for me. Great advice, Pat. What do you think?
It really works. And you'll find that rhythm for you. You'll find a rhythm for yourself as to which days are the best days, which times are the best times. Because we all have a time in our day where our energy is at the highest, our creativity is at the highest. And knowing when that time is for you is when you do the creativity, that time of creativity in your business. So it's also knowing your energy levels and how much it takes, what time of day is your energy the highest, and which of the businesses is most demanding on your energy, and associating that part of your business with your highest level of energy when it requires it. So like I said, it's a balance, hit or miss. Try different days, try different times, play with it, have fun, because at the end of the day, growing a business is an experiment. Wouldn't you agree, Dr. Villa?
I absolutely
agree. It's an experiment.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And have fun. I love that piece, because we all have turned into such grown-ups, guys. I'm against that, by the way. Let me just say that upfront and very clearly. I'm against us all being so grown up. I wish that we could. My son loves to remind me, never lose your sense of childish wonder. And he says it in a joking way, because he loves Einstein, and that's apparently a quote that was attributed to Einstein. But I take it so seriously every time he says it to me, and I'm thinking, how can I make my interactions with my patients more fun? How can I make sure that when I'm doing ladies power lunch things, that it's fun for me? Because you know what, guys, if it's not fun, forget it. I'm not on board.
I'm not doing it. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. And really fun leads to a bottom line. When you're having fun in what you're doing, it affects your bottom line. You're going to make more money because you're loving what you're doing, and you're, being compassionate and leading yourself. All the things that we talked about, it all hits the bottom line, is just being able to lead yourself and have that fun and make mistakes and make them fast, and then just pick yourself up and say, next, okay, what's next here? Just keep going for sure.
Beautiful. Any last words, Jody? Anything you wanted to add?
No, I don't think so. I'm definitely going to go through my notes that I took here and put into practice. A few of the things that you had mentioned, definitely being fully present, that I definitely will work on even today. So
Yeah, just take one. I presented a lot of ideas today. So just take one idea. That's all. Just take one idea and practice it for 21 days, develop it into a habit. And then just look at the list of other suggestions and then take a second one and practice that for 21 days. It's, we eat an elephant one bite at a time. So just one habit at a time.
mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So guys, you can find Jody at etsy.com/shop/Plymouth Soap House. And Pat, how can people get in touch with you? Because I know they're going to want to. You have shared such great things with us today.
My website is www.majesticcoachinggroup.com. I'm on all social media under majesticcoachinggroup.com, Pat Alva-Kraker. And absolutely, just if I can be of any help, be a further resource for anything that we've shared today, just feel free to reach out. I love, I don't believe in the one and done kind of thing. So if you find that you want to have a conversation on something that I covered, just go to the website and just say, hey, I want to come do, ask for a chat, and we'll have a conversation on what we discussed today, because we're always growing, and doesn't all settle in and integrate all at one time. So I'm here for your audience, for your group.
Beautiful. So guys, to get in touch with Pat, just go to majesticcoachinggroup.com. And she also has a gift for us today at www.agiftfrompat.com. So be sure to check all of those things out. Say big thank you to everybody who was able to tune in with us today. I want to say thank you to Pat for being such an amazing guest. Want to say thank you to Jody for tuning in and sharing about your challenges, because in helping with your challenges, I feel a lot of people will be able to see themselves in you. So thank you so much. Everybody, it's been great being here with you on the show today, but don't forget, we keep this conversation going every single day inside the Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group. If you want to join us, just go to growsmarter.harder.com/Facebook. See you guys on the next show. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.